Welcome back to the Cricket Corner podcast as we review the first day's play in the third test match between India and Australia here at the Holkar Stadium in Indore. Well, as you can see, as you can figure it out from my voice, not a lot of enthusiasm today because it was a bizarre day of cricket where Australia, or hang on, let me just rephrase my sentence. Australian spinners dominated India as the visitors can finally say that they bossed an entire day's play. Yes, you heard me right. It was the Australian spinners, not the Indian spinners, who have rattled the opposition this time around, picking up all 10 wickets as India were bundled out for just 109 runs. Well, I don't know where to start. I don't even know where to start. How am I supposed to review this? I'm completely shell-shocked by what had happened today at Holkar Stadium in Indore. Those of you who don't know, I live in the UK. I woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning, tuning in to watch the first day's play between India and Australia, and I was completely blown away by the Australian performance. So let's get into the review and what happened over the course of 90 overs today. India won the toss for the first time in this series and elected to bat first like Australia have done in the previous two test matches. Just to put it out there that Steve Smith is the captain of Australia because Pat Cummins has some family issues and we are all with him and we hope that he and his family recovers and gets out of this tricky situation quickly. So Australia, having to bowl first, decided to go with their three spinners, the thing that they did in New Delhi as well. So the likes of Todd Murphy, Nathan Lyon and Matthew Kuhneman all playing. Cameron Green came in for the injured David Warner, and the captain Mitchell Stark was captain Pat Cummins was replaced by Mitchell Stark in the starting 11. Those were the changes from the Australian side. But Australia didn't even need Mitchell Stark because all 10 wickets were picked up by the Australian spinners. As I mentioned before, Australia bundled out for just India bundled out for just 109 runs, and India just batted for 33.2 overs in the game. That's it. That's how much India could play. Just 33 overs. And I think we should all start from the very first over because India never looked in control right from the very first ball of the test match. The returning Mitchell Stark beat Rohit Sharma's outside edge in the very first delivery of the match. The Australians did appeal but was given not out by umpire Menon. The umpire today he gave it not out, and Australia. So Nitin Menon gave it not out, and Australia, after their misuse of reviews from the second test match, were hesitant in reviewing on the very first delivery of the match. But however, if they had reviewed it, replay showed that there was a spike on the ultra edge. There was a faint nick. So Rohit Sharma could have been given out if they had taken the review on the very first delivery of the test match. Moments later, the ball hits Rohit Sharma on the patch, but once again Australia didn't review, and that saved the Indian captain yet again. So twice in the first over, Rohit Sharma's innings could have been cut short. However, that first over disappointment didn't cost Australia a lot because I think moments later Rohit Sharma was dismissed by Matthew Kuhneman in his very first over. Kuhneman pitching it, tossing it up nicely, inviting Rohit Sharma to come down the track and hit him over long on or deep mid on, long on or deep mid on, yeah. And he was stumped by Alex Carey. So the flight and the bounce caught the Indian captain, and it was all downhill from there. The Australians, as I have mentioned multiple times in this podcast already, bundled India out for just 109 runs. Matthew Kuhneman, 5 wickets, his first fifer in Test match cricket after making his debut in the last Test match in New Delhi. Kuhneman picking up 5 for 16 from his 9 overs. And here is a list of players that Kuhneman dismissed. Rohit Sharma, the returning Shubman Gill in place of KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer, Ravichandran Ashwin, and Umesh Yadav, who is playing in place of Mohammad Shami this time. So those are the 5 wickets that he picked. Nathan Lyon picked up 3 for 35. Nathan Lyon dismissing Cheteshwar Pujara, Ravi Jadeja, and Shrikar Bharat, while the solitary wicket of Todd Murphy was the scalp of Virat Kohli, who made 22 or 52 deliveries, which was India's highest score. So 109 of 33 overs. And there is a very interesting stat which was displayed as a graphic during the first session of the test match. Hang on, let me just pull that graphic out for you, because that's one of the most interesting graphic I've ever seen. So yeah, India were 45 for 5. They lost, this was the 5th wicket which Shreyas Iyer was the 5th wicket which fell after just 11 overs. Inside edge dragging onto his stumps. This is how Shreyas Iyer was dismissed for a not. And that is an interesting graphic was pulled after just 12 overs, which was titled as Spinners Average Turn this series on day 1 in the first session. Now Nagpur pitch had 2.5 degree turn in the first session on day 1. 2.5, that was increased to 3.8 degrees in New Delhi's first session, the New Delhi test, the second test. That number rose from 3.8 to 4.8 in Indore in the first session. So the pitch was like, you can expect 4.8 degree turn in Indian pitches, yes, but not on day 1's first session. I think these are the kind of numbers you expect towards the end of day 2, possibly towards the beginning of day 3, but the pitch, I feel like, is a couple of days old on the first day. And somehow India didn't figure out how to play these Australian spinners. Now, let's be honest, Indian middle order has been a little disappointing in the first 2 test matches, and the Indians have been bailed out by their lower order batsmen, the likes of Ravindra Jadeja, Ravichandran Ashwin, and Akshar Patel. But this time again, middle order has failed, but so has the lower order. Ravindra Jadeja scoring just 4 runs. Akshar Patel was not out on 12, and Ashwin just adding 3 runs. So this is what happens when both your middle order and lower order completely collapse, because once again the middle order didn't contribute. Yes, I mentioned Virat Kohli's 22, and that was the highest run, but yet again Shrikar Bharat made just 17. Shreyas Iyer, as we mentioned, was dismissed for a not, and Pujara just adding 1 run. So once again, this time a combination of both the lower order and the middle order failing has contributed to India's demise, and that is something which is quite worrying for me as an Indian fan, because we expect the middle order to score a lot more runs, but now we are accustomed to seeing our lower order scoring more runs than middle order. But now that both of them have failed, Australia have made the full have taken the full advantage of it. And once again, Matthew Kuhneman was star of the game. He was tossing the ball up, he was inviting players to drive, and due to the unpredictable bouncy nature of this indoor pitch, anything pitched in a good length area was not bouncing as much as you expect. So instead of pitching the ball all the way up and inviting players to play on the front foot, Australian spinners dragged the length a slightly shorter than full length, and that made the ball do all of these uncertain things like the bounce and the turn, and that has caught India in their web, and they were bowled out for 109. However, judging by the performance of the likes of Nathan Lyon, Matthew Kuhneman, and Todd Murphy, everyone on social media thought that, this is going to be light work for the likes of Ashwin, Jadeja, and Akshar Patel. However, that's not the case, because at the end of day's play, Australia are 156 for 4 after 54 overs. So Australia has already taken a lead of 47 runs. They've just lost 4 wickets. And a 47-run lead looks really good in these circumstances, yes, they've lost 4 wickets. 2 of those wickets was towards the latter stages of the day, but once again, Australia have batted really well. So coming out to bat early in the second session, Travis Head and Usman Khawaja walked out, and Travis Head was dismissed after just 1.4 overs by Ravindra Jadeja. And Ravindra Jadeja picking up trapped in front leg before Travis Head out for 9 of 6 balls. And you thought, hang on, we think Indian bowlers might just replicate what Australian spinners have done, but that was not the case, because Usman Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne were absolutely brilliant. Usman Khawaja scoring 60, Marnus Labuschagne adding 31, and that partnership, that small partnership in that small partnership on for the second wicket really helped Australia pile up the runs and get them closer to that 109 run target. Because so here's the stat: the second wicket partnership between Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne was 96 runs of 198 deliveries. So they were patient. They were getting used to the conditions, getting used to the spin, and playing for those ones and twos quite easily, because Indian bowlers didn't get their lengths right. I think Indian bowlers tried to bowl a lot more fuller compared to the Australian spinners, and that helped Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne get used to the conditions quite quickly, and that has helped them really well. So once Marnus Labuschagne once again dismissed by Ravindra Jadeja, just to throw it out there, Ravindra Jadeja picking all 4 of Australian wickets. He and Ashwin opened the bowling, and Jadeja has ended with the figures of 4 for 63 of his 24 overs. So after 54 overs India bowled, 24 were bowled by Jadeja himself, 16 by Ashwin. So you can see India already knowing that spin is going to play a huge role, but somehow not taking the full advantage of the conditions. So yeah, so Labuschagne 96 run partnership, Labuschagne making 31 was dismissed by Jadeja. Then comes Steve Smith out, and Steve Smith yet again a valuable contribution, 26 of 38 deliveries, 4 fours in that, was dismissed by yet again Jadeja towards the very end of the day's play, nicking one to Shrikar Bharat, to the wicketkeeper Shrikar Bharat. And then it was Usman Khawaja was also dismissed moments I think 5 overs before the wicket of Steve Smith. So at the crease at the moment is Peter Handscomb and Cameron Green. Peter Handscomb, we have seen him in this series already. He is quite a capable and handy player of spin. He is currently on 7 of 36 deliveries, so he's settling in. He was taking his time. He knew his wicket is quite a precious one for the Australians, so he was not taking any risks towards the end of the day's play. Cameron Green, the returning Cameron Green, has joined him. He's on 6 of 10 deliveries. So Australia have a lead of 47. Now I'm not sure how much can Australia add to their existing overnight lead, because let's remind the listeners and the viewers about what happened in the New Delhi test, the second test match. Australia had a sizable advantage over India in the second innings. They were like 61 for 1 on day 2, at the end of day 2, and they're just bundled out in one session on day 3. So that can really very realistically happen yet again. But because they've already lost 4 wickets, once Green is out, you are into your wicketkeeper Alex Carey, and once another wicket falls, you are into your tail, the likes of Stark, Lyon, Murphy, Kuhneman. They are not, you can't call them all-rounders. Well, Pat Cummins can bat a little, but now he's gone, so your tail starts so much early that a couple of wickets for India could just open up the Australian batting order and they could rip through them. So it is very important for Peter Handscomb and Cameron Green to stay there at least for the first half of the first session, not give India any opportunity to get to the tail, because Alex Carey is a decent player of spin, but if he is dismissed, Then, as I mentioned, the tail starts really quickly, and Australia have to be careful. 47-run lead. If Hanscom and Green can add another 53, so I think that's a tall order, adding another 53. But if they can get their lead to somewhere, if Australia can get their lead to somewhere around 120 mark, that should really trouble the Indians when they come out to bat. Possibly tomorrow evening or towards the early stages of day 3. We are not sure. But yet again, this test match looks like it could end in within 3 days' time. Congratulations, Australia. You have finally won a day's play in this test series for the first time, and you rightly deserve it. Man of the day for me was certainly Matthew Kuhneman, 5 for 16 in his second test match. 60 for Usman Khwaja, 31 for Manas Labuschagne, 26 for Steve Smith. And at the moment on the crease we have Peter Hanscom on 7 and Cameron Green on 6. Just to recap, India bowled out for 109 after winning the toss and batting first. In reply, Australia won 56 for 4, a lead of 47, and it looks like it's going to be a really, really interesting day's play on day 2. That's the review of the first day's play of the third test match here in Indore. Really looking forward to how things develop on day 2. This is me, Vatsal Vora, signing off. I'll see you tomorrow after hopefully yet another day of brilliant cricketing action. Thanks for tuning in. Ciao for now.